Inheritance laws in the Quran are a divinely ordained system ensuring fairness and support for family members after a loved one's passing. Detailed in Surah An-Nisa chapter 4, verses 11, 12, and 176, these laws specify shares for children, parents, spouses, and siblings, prioritizing compassion and balance. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, reinforced these principles, emphasizing fairness, a limit on bequests to 1/3, and avoiding harm to heirs. The Quranic inheritance system aims to prevent conflict, protect each family member's rights, and ensure a fair distribution of wealth, maintaining harmony and dignity for all involved. Primary shares for family members. Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verses 11 and 12. Children's sons and daughters. A son inherits twice the share of a daughter. If there are multiple sons and daughters, each daughter receives half the share of a son. If there are only daughters, 2 or more daughters collectively inherit 2/3 of the estate. If there's only one daughter, she inherits half. Parents, when the deceased has children, each parent receives 1/6 of the estate. When the deceased has no children, the mother receives 1/3 and the father receives the remaining 2/3. However, if the deceased has siblings but no children, the mother's share is reduced to 1/6 and the father receives the remainder. Spouse-wife share. If the deceased husband has children, the wife inherits 1/8 of the estate. If there are no children, she inherits 1/4. Husband's share. If the deceased wife has children, the husband inherits 1/4. If there are no children, he inherits half. Siblings, when the deceased has no direct heirs, siblings become entitled to inherit, as specified in Surah An-Nisa, chapter 4, verse 176. If there is one sister, she inherits half of the estate. If there are 2 or more sisters, they collectively inherit 2/3 of the estate. If there are both brothers and sisters, the male inherits twice the share of the female. 2. Special cases and additional heirs. Grandchildren. If the deceased children have passed away but there are grandchildren, they may inherit in place of their parents, following similar distribution rules as sons and daughters. Siblings, in the absence of immediate family. If the deceased has no children or parents, inheritance passes to siblings. The rules for siblings are: 1 sister inherits half of the estate. 2 or more sisters inherit 2/3. If there are both brothers and sisters, the brothers inherit twice the share of the sisters. 3. Execution of wills and debts before distributing the inheritance shares. Any debts owed by the deceased must be paid off from the estate. Additionally, if the deceased has left a will, up to 1/3 of the estate can be allocated according to the will, as long as it does not violate the Quranic shares for inheritors. 4. Detailed distribution of remaining estate if specific shares do not cover the entire estate. The remaining portion is often distributed to close family members, such as nephews, uncles, or other relatives, depending on Islamic jurisprudence and cultural practices. Summary of the Quranic inheritance laws. Children. Sons receive twice the share of daughters. If only daughters, 2 or more inherit 2/3. 1 daughter inherits half. Parents receive 1/6 each if there are children. Otherwise, the mother gets 1/3, father gets the remainder. Spouses. Husband receives 1/2 or 1/4. Wife receives 1/4 or 1/8, depending on whether there are children. Siblings. Only inherit in the absence of parents and children, with brothers receiving twice the share of sisters. These guidelines from the Quran promote fairness and ensure that each family member receives a specified share, helping to maintain family harmony and financial support after a loved one's passing. Thank you for listening. Here is a sample chart illustrating a common inheritance distribution for an estate worth $100,000. This example shows the distribution of shares among typical heirs, including the wife, son, daughter, mother, and father, with each receiving a specific percentage as per common Islamic inheritance laws.